Welcome back guys. In this video, we're going to explain view binding. Why is it essential? And how do we use it in our code? So what exactly is view binding? Essentially, it's a feature that makes interacting with your views easier. More importantly, it makes your code more robust and immune to bugs. You might be wondering, how is this going to make my code more robust? To answer that, we first need to understand how we used to interact with views before view binding. Previously, we would simply reference the view IDs directly in our code. The issue with this approach is that you could accidentally reference a view ID that doesn't exist, which would return null and could lead to bugs in your application. But now, with view binding, you won't be able to call a view ID in your Kotlin file unless that ID is defined inside your XML layout file. Now that we know the benefits of view binding, let's talk about how it works. View binding creates a binding class for each XML layout file in your code. For example, let's say you have an activity_main.xml file. When you activate view binding, it generates a class called activity_main_binding, which contains references to all the views inside that XML file. This makes interacting with your views both easier and more secure. So, how do we use view binding in our app? Step 1. Activate view binding. First, we need to activate view binding in our project. To do that, open your build.gradle file, and inside the Android block, we type build features, and then inside of it, we type view binding equals true. This will enable view binding for the project. After that, we sync our project with these new changes. Step 2. Create an instance of the binding class. Next, we need to create an instance of the binding class. So, in your Kotlin activity file, we type private late init binding, followed by the name of the binding class, which is activity_main_binding for this example. Now we have a reference to the binding class. Step 3. Initialize the binding in onCreate. Now, let's initialize the binding inside the onCreate function, but before calling setContentView. To do this, we type binding equals activity_main_binding.inflate, layout inflator, to inflate the layout, and then we type setContentView, binding.root, to set the root view of the binding as the content view. Step 4. Using view binding. Now that we've set everything up, we can start using the binding to interact with views in our layout. Let's open the activity_main.xml file and add an ID to a text view. For example, let's call it TV_hello_world. Then, go back to your Kotlin file. To access the text view, we simply call binding, followed by the ID of the view. In this case, we type main_binding.tvHelloWorld.text equals hello, mom. This will change the text of the text view to hello, mom. Once you start your app, you should see that the text is updated to hello, mom. And that's it. You've now successfully used view binding to interact with views in your Android app. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.